Archers, attack! Keep firing! Let none escape! Another down! Do not relent!
Greetings, you sexy-looking adventurers. Is that a new top you're wearing? Wait, you're topless. Aaron, I'm Slidewhistle.
Hello, it is Immunization.
And it's me, Aaron, Fire Mage Extraordinaire and Horde Punching Bag. And I'm wearing a shirt today because I got a lovely message from a listener and I wanted to look rather official.
Oh, I thought you meant somebody sent you a shirt. I'm like, someone sent you a shirt in the mail? What do you mean?
You know, it's very important that we look official on our auditory-only podcast, you know?
Yes. And also, go ahead and send me things, everyone. I want some anthrax. Send me drugs. Send me a bomb. Come on, I dare you. I double dare you.
Oh, boy.
No, this comes from Tommy the Commie, who just threw a brick through our collective window and asked, "Who's Cup Dan?" I've listening for years, and you guys mention it sometimes, but I don't get the reference.
Wait, was this an email sent to us? Or is this just
This
sent
was
to you?
a private message sent to the show's Instagram. And then I explained who Cup Dan was, and Thomas says, "You guys and TSZ, the Starting Zone, are the only WoW podcast I listen to weekly these days. Heart." And I said, "Thank you, Thomas. That's very kind."
Yo, Tommy, shout out to you. Also, if you'd be so kind to read out the description of Cup Dan to the rest of the listeners who also might be like, who the fuck is Cup Dan?
I feel like even people who have been listeners the whole time forget about things sometimes because I feel like we have such deep lore on this show, obviously. And also, sometimes we forget too because, this deep lore is created when we are intoxicated.
So yes, doubling back to my response, I said, 1, thank you for listening for years, because Thomas said he did. 2, back during Dragonflight, there was a quest that saw you attuning the time waves using various artifacts from the past, one of which was the end of the Horn of Manaroth that Gul'dan used as a cup when all the old orcs drank the blood and went crazy. We ended up personifying the cup with a cutesy voice and face, and named it Cup Dan, and then posted the picture of it, which is an embarrassed anime girl's face on the photorealistic, horn.
It's so stupid, but also, it's pretty good.
You know, whenever I hear about things that we've created for the show, I'm like, maybe we are a little bit funny.
Nope.
Maybe we do have it.
It's like playing t-ball in your backyard. You swing enough, no one remembers all the strikes. They just remember the big boppers.
I was trying to think of a word that rhymed with boppers, and I just couldn't.
Poppers! Let's take some poppers. Let's take some fucking party drugs as we move.
I did just go to see Charlie XCX on the Brat tour a few days ago. So.
Oh my god!
And actually, I went with Sweaty Gumbo, and when we were waiting in line, we were a few margaritas deep at that point because we pre-gamed. We wanted to pre-game at the Chili's near the arena, but all of the Charlie fans were having the same idea. They wanted, their triple dipper and cheap drinks, I guess, before the show. So it was way too long. So we went to a smaller Mexican place next door. Anyways,
you should have gotten spaghetti and then jammed your big stupid hand in there like she did when she got really high at the Grammys.
You fucked up. You really fucked up not doing that, if I'm being honest.
But anyways, when we were drunk off margaritas in line for security, Sweaty Gumbo turned to me and she said, "Am I gonna find out what poppers smell like today?"
Honestly, am I gonna figure out what poppers smell like today?
Yeah, and then I had to tell her, I'm like, honestly, I don't really know what poppers smell like either.
I bet you Berlin, the smell of Berlin, the bar that closed down, that's probably what it smells like if I had to take a big guess at it.
I thought you had just some pining for a big city in Germany. You're like, I'll bet you if you ever went, that's exactly what it would smell like. The streets are alive in Germany.
If I had a time machine with one use, I would use it to go back in time when Berlin, the bar, was still open, and I would really cherish and take in the moment before it got shut down by greedy drag queens.
Okay. Anyways, if I had one use on a time machine, I would go back and stop you from saying that.
Wow, what a waste. Speaking of time machines, we're looking forward to the future of 11.1.7 Legacy of Arathor. It has a name.
Ooh, like every single time they listened to the episode and they said, "Oh no, gang, we didn't give them enough stuff. punch the keys. We need to fast forward to the future. 11.1.5 is donezo.
Yeah, so this is one of the rare times when Ian, Mr. Hazuko himself, betrayed our trust and our agreement that we had. And I believe that this was announced the day after we recorded last week, I think.
Yeah, I think they dropped it on Friday, just like the news that it was coming, and then we've been getting a trickle of things ever since. But let's start off with what everybody's talking about. The World of Warcraft is discussing this 45-minute interview that had Dratnos and Max from Limit sit down with Ian Hazakostas, and my favorite part of the whole thing was Dratnos and Max really trying to connect with an average player is just really funny to me, because like they are like rich billionaires basically, like, of the WoW universe. They don't understand like what heroic and normal raid looks like. So for them to be like, yes, a rotation add-on will be good for people. It's just really funny
didn't
to
even
see.
think about that. Yeah, these pie in the sky, like super duper dudes. Yeah, a guy from Limit. You're really going to get his out of touch ass to talk about the accessibility option where you hit one button to play?
Yeah, it's really weird to me because, like, whenever they or people like them, the top end people try to talk about everyday problems for the World of Warcraft people, they just have no concept of like what an average player goes through. It's the same energy of like Trump talking about like the concept of groceries. Like he thinks it's an archaic term that nobody uses anymore.
Yeah, have you seen that, Aaron? The grocery thing?
No, I didn't. He doesn't believe the phrase grocery exists.
So I think he doesn't know, because, I mean, when is the last time that man has shot for himself? You know what I mean? So he's like, have you heard this term? This term that people are bringing back and they're using? It's a beautiful term. Groceries. They're saying groceries, and that's like food in a supermarket. So groceries are it's a beautiful word, groceries. Grocery prices are going down. They're way down. And everyone's like, this dude doesn't know what groceries is?
Let alone that the prices of nothing, like literally the prices of everything are going up. Like, what the fuck is this man on? Anyways,
I just love that such a basic term is so foreign. So this was kind of what this was giving me with this interview a little bit, because obviously they're giving them like a script to read or questions to ask. I have to imagine, but at one part in the interview, they're discussing how basically they're going to be peeling back add-on and weak aura access, just like in certain things of information that they're feeding to it. They didn't really say what that was yet, but because they're planning on supplementing this with their own UI and their own stuff over the course of like God knows how many patches, right? It's not going to be instant. It can't be.
yeah. So my interpretation of this is that so first off, some people are reacting to this WoWcast and just running at like 100 miles per hour at it, saying that like all add-ons are going to be terminated from the World of Warcraft immediately. I'm like, okay, calm down here. That's literally not what they said at all. I interpreted it as, you guys remember how back around when we first started to play, DBM had a functionality where you could do like live range tracking, and then they at one point got rid of it. And like, I feel, and like people were a little upset about that because like, I was a little upset about it too, honestly. But then I feel like it matters less now because they made it very apparent on a lot of mechanics if you're standing too close to people by like literal circles around you and such,
Mm-hmm. Ian says as much in the actual interview itself, but it's like they, as a company, should not just be like, oh, I don't know, just now essential aspects of our game. Just get some guy from Delaware, his program will do it for you. It's like, as we go on, these things that have become so important to people, might as well adopt them yourself, because otherwise it feels really out of touch.
Yeah, it's really weird. And, Dratnos, he asked a good question, which made me think maybe they were able to ask some questions, but he basically asked Ian, he was like, so when you guys are designing fights, are you trying to are you trying to design fights that get around weak auras, or you're thinking like, oh, well, a weak aura is going to solve this, let's not do that? And I don't believe Ian when he said, No, we never design fights like that. I guarantee you nobody's ever designed a fight that's trying to avoid a weak aura. Because then he literally says later in the interview that the whole reason that there's a fuck ton of swirlies, like on like Gallywix, how there's swirlies. The swirlies are there because they're designed so that way you can't really counter those with a weak aura. You have to know to move. And I'm like, that's the same thing, right? Like,
I interpreted it as him saying that like they wanted to make the mechanics apparent enough that you don't need a weak aura to understand that these things are happening. Because then like in the same raid, we all have that add-on for like the bombs and sticks where it's like, this is the one you need to kill. Do not run into it. It's this a comically large overlay over the crab bombs. So like, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's true. The whole course of the video, if people watch, which I know everyone reacting, PC Gamer did not watch the video, but they literally are saying how the raid fights won't need weak auras because they understand that if they take away the ability for add-ons and weak auras to use them, they won't need to make the fights as complicated because you'll be able to see what's happening.
I was going to say, there also is a little bit of a precedence of them doing similar things in the past, breaking weak auras on purpose when they felt like it was counterintuitive to what they wanted the raid fight to be. Was it in the Seppi, I think, where there was the Among Us boss, where they're like, no, guys, you have to just fucking play the Among Us game. That's the reason we made it like this. Like, no, you can't have that weak aura.
The Among Us game makes me laugh so much because I remember when we were raiding with Dogs with Jobs on the side, Dogs with Jobs had a really hard time with the weak aura because they couldn't do the fight regularly. So we all got the weak aura, and it made the fight worse. We did worse because they didn't know what to do with it.
And I remember, because with Dogs with Jobs, we were ahead of the Uno Mas raid, so we would like get intel and then come back. And by the time like our guild got to the Among Us boss, we were a little worried because of, yeah, as Slide said, that it was hard for Dogs with Jobs. But I feel like our guild's strengths are just completely different. Like, that was easy for us because we're just filled with a bunch of people that have raided together for so long and are used to just like call out based things like that, like without needing a weak aura, because like no one even thinks like, oh, let's find a weak aura to play Among Us. We're like, oh, it's very obvious if you just look. You're like, it's like the people who have the giant like, ooh, I'm a spooky guy hovering above them. Just like look at your screens.
This brings me to why I thought it was so funny that Dretnos and Max were so out of touch. Max was like, I just love a raid fight where we don't need a weak aura and we can just communicate with each other. So like in Mythic Raid, like on Gallywix, we needed to have backups for a fight. So we just called out, who hasn't soaked yet? Soak now. And people did it. And we didn't have an add-on, and we didn't have a weak aura. And Dretnos was like, yeah, that doesn't typically happen in heroic or normal raids. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We do that all the time. Like, they don't know what a heroic raid looks like because they haven't done it in so long. You know what I mean?
I would assume they just start on Mythic, probably, right? I actually don't know what
they do heroic, but like in a weird way where they like split their team. I think what they do is like they call it like heroic splits, where they like run half of their Mythic team with alts, I think, and then just have all the alts funnel whatever gear to. You know what I'm trying to say? Just to make it so that like all of the gear goes to the mains that are then going to be on Mythic.
But they're like, yeah, like that coordination doesn't happen because only we do that because we're Mythic Raiders. And it's like guys, like, like that's not how that works. It's just hilarious hearing them talk about the game like this.
I also love them talking about the coordination and the teamwork they have. When I feel like a good 2 weeks after the like race to World First is over, I feel like half the team leaves. For whatever reason, Twitter tells me every single time a guy from Limit or Method tweets anything, and it's always just like, I'm officially done running with the team. I'm hanging it up. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of camaraderie going around there, bud.
Yeah, Papa Cheese, former Mythic Raid lead, has told horror stories about how aggressive the like Mythic Raid recruitment and trying to fill in the gaps of raiders who have left are. Because everybody who's at that level, mostly, is trying to climb their way into the next best guild. So it's almost like they're like resume padding by being like, yeah, like I killed this in this guild who's top 167, but I want to be a top 100 mythic raider. So I'm going to raid hop constantly until I get to where I want to be. And it's, you know, it makes it so hard because you can't mesh as well. That's why I feel like it's such a job at the higher level, which I think I would kind of like. I did apply for a mythic group. Sundays and Mondays. I hope I get in. Everybody, prayer circle for me. Prayer hands. Papeka.
Oh my god, we're charging our spirit bomb for Slidewhistle to find a mythic group.
I just want the mount. I want the mount, and I want a mythic. If I can get a mythic Mr. Pick Me Up, I'm gonna piss myself so hard. It's gonna be so wet, guys.
Go piss, girl.
But yeah, so the add-on rotation, this is good. So there will be a rotation assist added in 11.1.7 in base UI that can light up the next button you should press.
This is one of the things that has people talking the most, I feel like. Everyone has something to sound off about with the rotation assist that they are going to implement. So there are two versions of it. There's one that just highlights things kind of like a Hakili, and then there's one that just... The one that really gets people talking is the one-button keybind mode of this.
Yes, but I want to talk about the light up the next button first, because does this mean that it's going to light up buttons on your bar? Like not like, so Hakili, if you have Hakili, it does like, it adds extra buttons on your screen to look at to tell you what to press. This sounds like it's going to light up on your own UI bars what to press if you have it. I will say, been doing a little Final Fantasy, as we talked about last week, just to compare or just to level. And base UI of Final Fantasy, for Monk at least, does tell me what buttons I should be pressing next. And I'm like, this is good because I don't fucking know. Like, for Final Fantasy, I'm not going to use an outside source. Because for WoW, if you fucking don't know what buttons to press, how do you know what buttons to press? Like, so many players just hit what button looks the coolest and don't actually know what button you're supposed to be hitting.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. In MMOs in general, as you said. So like if somebody's picking up WoW for the first time currently and they're just leveling, first off they get their spells like along the way. So then I feel like it inherently has a preference to press the buttons that you had all the way through, probably. But then when you get the max level, you have all these spells, and then like if you're new to an MMO, if you've never played one before, you're not gonna probably even think that like the concept of a rotation is even a thing. I know that like when I first started playing WoW, I didn't think that way, let alone think to look at like an external website like Icy Veins or like the Wowhead articles for your specific spec and then look at the rotation that way. Like I feel like it's a pretty big ask for somebody just getting into WoW to like understand that whole concept. So I do think it's good that the light up the next button thing, assist thing, is going to be introduced, because like that's the one that I said is like the Hakili add-on, which I do use for whenever I have it downloaded so that like whenever I play a new spec or whatever that I've never played before. So like when I was fucking around with like Unholy Death Knight a little bit in the MOP remix or last patch or expansion or whatever, lost track of fucking time. When I was picking up Fire Mage for a little bit, like I used Hakili to kind of have an idea of like what my, single target or AoE rotations would be. So I think that that's a great thing to introduce. But then they also announced, as I said, the big one that people are talking about is the one button rotation keybind, where it's just like, I've seen some videos now too, because people are testing it on BTR, where it's literally just one button and it changes. It's just like eternally flashing because it's like press this, then press this. And then it just changes toward whatever like the ability that you quote should be pressing is. So people have a lot to say about this. You can imagine the whole gambit of things where it's like, well, like the people who have low DPS will feel forced to use this. Why are you bothering to play the game if this is a thing that is available? It's like, and that so like, yeah, I don't know. We could probably talk about this for a while.
My big thing is yes, obviously you hit a single button to continue, but they guaranteed that you would go slower. So it's not like you're pumping the gas and you're cheating your way to the top. It's just an accessibility thing, or it's just like you want to look cool and that's it. this will affect 0 people, really, other than just people who want to try out a dungeon or try out a raid and don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't know if you'll see this. You won't see this in Mythics. You won't see this in Heroics. I don't even know if you'll see this in Normal. This strikes me as strictly just an LFR tier tool to use.
I think my favorite thing that I've seen in response to this is, oh man, they're going to have to buff the health on LFR bosses because people are going to actually start doing damage when they use the rotation add-on.
Yeah, but as Aaron said, I don't know if they said it in the WoWcast or if it was in one of the other interviews or whatever, but the one button thing, the way that they're balancing it is that it has a longer GCD. Like, it has like a... punishment's the wrong word, but like they increase the GCD while you are using the one button add-on. So I think it's 20% slower than the GCD if you're not using it. So hypothetically, if WoW's team programmed the ideal rotation, you would be 20% lower DPS. But I've seen some people who have been trying this on PTR, and it's not even the case that they've programmed an ideal rotation. I guess it's not using cooldowns. It's catching some things like multi-dotting bleeds on Feral or something like that, but it's not like using Incarn or whatever the other equivalent is for Feral that you can spec into.
Yeah, it's super basic, which, I mean, what do people have to learn with now? Nothing. They ain't got jack shit. They got to figure out what to press, and so
the amount of specs that I've tried to learn by just going down the line, like my official battle strat is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. People are drowning out there. Just let them do this thing. I will also say, fighting games have implemented this for a long time. Whether it be like auto combos, or Street Fighter has a mode like this where it's like, press square 10 times and it'll do like 10 different moves. So I've seen the outrage, I've seen it quell down, and I've seen people just accept that it's like, yeah, this is the new player mode. This is the less experienced player mode. So surely we as MMO players can do it as well.
Exactly.
And then if we do it well, then it can get adopted by Final Fantasy, and then I can turn around and I can say, no, theirs is dumb. They're dummies who don't know how to play. And I can both be rude to Final Fantasy and a hypocrite, which is what I aim to be.
Which brings me to my next point, which is damage meters. So Final Fantasy has a very strict no add-on, specifically no damage meter talk policy from the CEO or whatever his name is.
It's like a weird, like, don't ask, don't tell about these damage meters.
I tried to download a Final Fantasy damage meter, and it's so external that it's not even like a thing that goes into Final Fantasy. It's a program that exists outside of CurseForge. Like, I had to click it open while Fantasy was open, and it overlaid on top of it, but it wasn't actually like in the game.
It was very much so like if you use Warcraft logs, it was kind of like that type of deal where it's like an external thing where you like log it like on your other screen or in the background.
It's really weird. But so Ian, they talked about damage meters because, again, the whole point of the WoW Team's thing right now is they want to implement the most popular add-ons into the base WoW game itself. And so they were like, so do you guys want damage meters in the game, or do you not want damage meters in the game? Which I thought was just a interesting question to go with. Because I'm like, yeah, I guess I haven't heard their official stance on this before. And Ian was like, it is the most number one popular add-on in the game. He says every player, and then he goes, well, the majority of players have one installed. And I was like, Aaron, you're holding it down strong.
Yeah, Ian saw me. We're part of, there's dozens of us, literally dozens.
Well, literally just you in our raid, at least.
But he was like, players obviously want to know what their DPS is. They know that in a world where they limit real-time combat tracking, they would need to provide this to players. So I think he said basically that they're going to be making their own damage meter, like their own thing in game. We won't have to have details. We won't have to have, and this is very, very interesting because honestly, it's such a different philosophy from Final Fantasy to WoW about how add-ons work. We download so many add-ons as players, and then they fuck up our game when a new patch comes out, and we're like, why can't I open the Great Vault? Well, did you uninstall your add-on and turn them off? Why would I do that? It's not an add-on doing it. And I'm like, well, have you tried? Like, so I wonder if these add-ons will work or if they're going to have that bugginess of new patches as well.
Well, I assume if they are in WoW, they won't bug out. Well, actually, that's never mind.
Yeah.
I before I could even finish saying it, like, I need to walk that back. Because we all know that new patches in WoW are buggy as hell. But I want to say that, like, it won't be specifically because of these add-ons. Like, perhaps it would, like, there's bugs for who knows what other reason, and they will fix them eventually. So yeah, I really don't know. And then it's a whole nother layer of, like, I do think that people will still have external damage meters just to double check WoWs, if that makes sense. Especially at first, when, like, we don't know if we can trust their in-game damage meters. I bet you that, like, the top of the 1% of the Mythic Raiders will definitely be doing that.
And my absolute favorite part of this interview was Max, leader of Limit, talking to Ian about audio and visual prompts. Basically, they're going to add the classic, like, chomp sound that we always hear from Ahoy when he's talking on microphone. They want to add audio stuff inside the game so you can make things, like, make a sound whenever. But also they talked about how Max was like, yeah, we have raiders who don't have their sound on, which I'm sure is like, what, like fucking 60% of any fucking raid team? And he's like, if you have the audio on, you can very clearly hear when mechanics are happening. And we had players on our mythic raiding team who had no clue that was ever a thing because they turn off their sound and they play their music, their butt rock, like it's 2007. Turn off the butt rock. Turn up your WoW sounds.
Or at least, like, while you're learning the fights, I don't know. Like, I got to the point of, I don't know, several weeks of progging where I did put a little bit of butt rock on in the background as well.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be brave. I'm going to break through. Last night, when we fought Jaster Galliwix and we put him on his bum, I was listening to the Geno Samuel 2.1 Chris Chan documentary on
what
Spotify.
The hell? How can you listen to a man speaking while you're raiding?
Because I knew the things. I knew, well, obviously I'll say this. Lynn is much louder than Geno Samuel was, but I could hear him. And Lynn's the only voice I hear.
It's crazy.
Because all the usual suspects got turned off. They raged too hard at Muggsy, or they fell down too much, or just were too vocal about how hard Disc Priest are. So it was just Chris, Gino, and Lynn. Those are my three going into the win.
Who's Chris?
Chan.
Chris Chan. I'm like, you're watching 2 videos. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all that add-on talk. I don't know. I think this is a really, really good future. Why the fuck did it take them this long to do this? That's my only question. They're acting like this is all new shit. I'm like, guys, you're on patch 11. This has been a part of the game since the patch 1. Like, wow, why now?
Well, I mean, it's not even just a why now. They've proven over, I don't know, the last several years that they've been moving to try to improve base games functionality enough to incorporate basically weak or like add-on functionality into the base game. We've seen that so far with edit mode. So I don't know. I was able to like uninstall like 2 or 3 add-ons when edit mode became good enough that I didn't need it anymore. Like, I still do have Bartender, but like I could see not running Bartender anymore. And then they have the cooldown tracker, which is a replacement for, like weak auras and whatnot, which, as we said in the past, is not quite good enough for me to fully get rid of my weak auras yet. But I think it is their ultimate goal to make it so that we can reduce the amount of weak auras that we would need.
They need to fix druid bars before you get rid of bartender. I tried it without bartender on my druid and nothing makes any sense. So they gotta fix that before I can get rid of it fully.
I mean, they need to fix druid bars in general, I think, because like even with bartender, that shit is hard as fuck.
Yeah, something's fucked. Speaking of fucking, what's Carlina up to?
Not that, she's dry as a bone. Well, hello there, fine listeners. Growlina here on the front lines with my new friend, Reynaldo. Ren, we've been sitting here preparing to kill these bugs with the Arathi for something like 40 minutes, but I swear they've just been pulling out swarmers and maybe one bipedal Nerubian. Are we wasting our time? The way I see it, everyone's wasting their time here. The Nerubians, the Arathi, they just want to fight for fighting's sake. Like, it's bred into their society, or like they're just really bored? Honestly, the latter. The Arathi have been shut away for decades, fighting for their lives. That's probably all they know how to do. And the bugs are bugs. Can't expect them not to shoot out webs and eat stuff. So are you saying that these two groups should set aside their differences and realize that we all share one planet and there's no need to fight? No. 'Cause that's gay. I just think they should stop sending me text alerts every time they want to battle each other. More than fair. Ren says the bloodshed must continue, but please leave him out of it. Speaking of continuing, let's continue on to the second half of our program. Thank you for that brief intermission, Growlina. But now we return to the second half of episode. If I'm reading this correctly, I believe this is 333, halfway to the big one.
Halfway evil, halfway angel.
Wait, what is the angel episode? Is that like 777?
No, it's 0, because you're far from 666.
It's 0 because you shouldn't have even started. You opened this Pandora's box and now we're here 333 episodes later. Ah!
And at 333, we can confidently say, heroic Gallywix has been killed for the guild. We did it. It's over.
Also, before we go into Gallywix, I do want to say, I didn't mean to, but I told my therapist that I have a podcast, and he just gave me, he was looking down at his notes, and then he quizzically looked up when I did that. I take that as it is.
Okay, wait. What, did you tell him the name? Is he going to listen to this?
I sure hope not. He did not ask any more details. He just, that came up organically. But if he tries to pry it out of me, I'm going to say, sorry, bud, that's privileged information. That's between me and 350 close friends.
I mean, in this therapist's defense, I will say most men do not deserve to have a podcast, judged on like a lot of the podcasts that I know exist out there. So I think I understand the reaction.
I almost opened it up with, like every white guy, comma, I have
exactly,
a podcast.
Right. He was like, oh man, not another podcaster.
He said, well, if you want to be less sad, that's where you start. Stop that. Take that down. White guys don't need another one. But I need this one to tell you that Gallywix died.
Yeah, I wasn't so sure that we were going to kill him. We were down a couple people. I mean, so our second raid night, we automatically lose Ash, who does a lot of damage for us. We didn't have Minnie, who's been tanking. So, like, it's been kind of hard for Ahoy to Minnie and Minnie swapping and Len. They've all kind of rotated in a circle who's tanking what each week.
Yeah, so starting our second night on Gallywix, I think we went in with like 2-4-10 or 2-4-9, I think, comp. And we were like, okay, well, this is fine because like it's 2 healers on each side, and Gallywix is a really healing intensive fight, so that should be good to go. But then Malgon had to leave because he had like he was trying to like do baby duty and raid at the same time, which I don't even think that I would pretend to be able to do that, honestly.
I do feel terrible because I could sort of feel it in the air. So Cubby Bub was sort of hanging around, and I said, Cubby, we might have to make the sacrifice. And I gave her a couple rocks, and I said, can you go to Malgon's house and throw these outside his window so his kid gets upset? I feel like if we send someone away, we can get to the perfect number for this.
It's true. I mean, the 239 sweet spot, it's a comp people are looking for a reason. And it once Malgon left, we were at the sweet spot of the 239. I feel like we've talked about this on the show in the past, that sometimes just like when you add or subtract just a number in general, the boss like gets to that perfect health versus like your group's damage or whatever, that it just becomes substantially easier for some reason.
I will say, when Malgon left, I said to myself, oh fucking Lord, I'm gonna have to heal my ass off, and I'm gonna have to save mana while doing it. Luckily, I found a new mana build that helped me out a little bit, because some people didn't know we had to heal both sides, I think. So once that news got out, I think, though, it got a lot easier. We had that first pull, and we got them down to, 35%, I think. But my mana, I was like 35% mana down than I normally was at that spot. And I was like, this is going to be a struggle. But then they picked up the pace. We started to slam this shit.
Yeah, we hit our stride. The prog just got better and better. It got to the point where we were like reliably making it like somewhat deep into phase 3 or whatever the last phase of Gallywix is. And I got to the point where I was starting to get nervous. I'm like, oh, are we actually going to do it tonight? Because I was pretty confident that we were not going to get it this week and that we would need like at least, I in my mind, I was like, okay, this week is going to get close. And then I was like, next week we'll probably get it. Or honestly, in my mind, I'm like, it might be like the week after that even. I don't know, just based on like, what we've had to do in the past.
I was a little mad because we got to the magical 38. That was the farthest we had ever been. And my butthole was puckered. And I was like, please, let's hold it together for 30. And then it did. And then it sucked it up even more. It's like, 25?
Yeah.
I feel like it was not a decreasing down. Once we got past 38, we just held it together and got him. But I was like, that's too long for a man to be on pins and needles.
I know. I feel like sometimes our prog is a little more gradual than that. Like we have like a sub 10%, a sub 20, like, or, yeah, like as you said, like we had like our best, like 38% pull or whatever. And then it's like, oh, it's like, okay, our next, like normally, our normal progression is like, oh, then we have like a low 30% pull, then a 20, then a 10, then a 5, then we kill it. But like, no, like then we just locked the fuck in and killed it. And I feel like the air of the raid group was like silent. We were like locking the fuck in. We were like all like on our best behavior and like trying our hardest. And then we just did it. And I was like so proud of us.
After 25%, I just stopped looking at the boss. I was like, I can't look at the boss. We only have 2 healers alive. If I look at the boss for 1 second, people are going to die. So I'm like, I'm ignoring, I'm closing my eyes, and I'm just looking at my healing meters, and I'm just looking at the swirlies and bombs in front of me. You know it's bad when I'm taking bombs to the pit. I never take bombs to the pit.
Oh, speaking of that, when I was saying that I was proud of us as a raid group, I was particularly proud of the 3 of us. I think at one point, the 3 of us locked in and got like the last 3 bombs available and threw them into the pit at the same time. I was like, oh, look at us. That's kind of cute.
I wish I shouldn't have been there because so I moved my extra action button, which Blizzard loves to use this thing now, like kind of in Dragonflight, especially in TWW. There are so many extra action button mechanics. But I moved it to the upper right of my screen because I was just like, I want it out of the way, like for mundane things. Not thinking that there'd be this where I have to use it. So I'm standing next to the bomb, electricity trickling, like shocking me. I'm like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? As I'm frantically going around. And then eventually I found it. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I should have just been hitting 1. I know where that thing is.
No, that was me too. Something happened in this last patch where Blizzard changed something with the UI. I don't know what happened, but my UI was like 1 inch to the left. It was like cramped. I'm like, what's this? I would never put this here. Something is wrong. And then the extra action button was like 5 meters to the left. So I literally couldn't find it because it was underneath my damage meters. So I had to move up my fucking details and click it. And I'm like, what's going on? What is this?
Meanwhile, like, all of us are, like, literally going through firewalls to try to find our extra action buttons so that we don't wipe, and that was the pull that we ended up doing it on. It was just, like, so crazy to me because, yeah, everyone was silent, and then, I was so worried that, you know how in the third phase, like, it becomes, like, the Mater soaks are, like, those little vials we all have to, like, split up into, which is, like, pretty much the same mechanic as, like, it being placed on all of us with circles that we didn't need to, like, overlap too much. But, like, you needed at least, like, 3 in each. And there was one time when I was, like, getting ready to, like, just dash between them if I didn't see that any were there enough. And then I was just, like, I felt like I couldn't speak during this time because, like, everyone was just so locked in. But then I was like, okay, I need to make this announcement. I need to say something over comms, which I never say during raid because I don't know. I don't find the need to say anything during raid. But I was like, I need to announce it. This is the pull. Everyone, use your second pots.
Yeah, oh yeah. I was like... When you said that, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to like throw off anyone's groove. But I was thinking, this motherfucker never says that.
I never say anything, honestly. But I was like, this could be the pull. I'm like, we need a little bit of extra damage here. I mean, we have these fleeting potions that Cass made for us, and 3-star, by the way. We should be using them.
I can't believe that we finished right before break. Like, I didn't even get to gamble. I was honestly a little pissed we didn't gamble. I wanted to be like, can we just gamble after? But I was like, I should just also brush my teeth and go to bed.
Oh, and like went to bed fucking early. I was so fucking happy.
Yeah, I was sitting there like, oh, I might play some games with my boys. And then as soon as we went in there and then did the little extra boss at the end, yeah, these boys logged out. So I said, I guess it's the Elder Scrolls arena for me tonight.
Yeah, I went right. I was like, let me go to bed. Let me fucking hop into there. When I saw your portal down, I'm like, oh my god. I said, are we done? Are we done? Because I wasn't listening to what Lynn was saying. So I'm like, Aaron made a portal. I think we're done.
We did randomly decide to just for vault, I think, so that we would have like a full vault. We went back and did Rick Reverb, I think, right? And also got the achievement.
Yeah, we did Rick Reverb, but people were being silly. And I had to get on comms and be like, just remember, we still need to do this fight.
Yeah.
I was like, we have 2 wipes before I go. I don't fucking care, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my int buff with me.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna kill more bosses after we killed Rick, so that's why I got on Alan and I had Immune get on Immune. I was like, yeah, we'll just get the rest of the bosses, and then I was like, oh, it was just Rick. Okay, we done. Also, you guys know how we have that like Galagio raid rep? Did you guys buy your fucking rocket?
Yes, I am very good at checking at the beginning and end of every raid night for what we got. We also upgraded to platinum damage.
I am honestly a little stunned that we are legitimately only halfway through the Galagio rep. We are at rank 10. There's 20 ranks. We've already gotten AOTC for our group. What is the percentage of raiders that are going to be getting the full rep? Because once people get ahead of the curve, they check out.
Okay, so here's the thing. I have a theory. They were like teasing closing the Hall of Fame. I don't know if it's closing this week now officially. They announced something, but I didn't really look at the date because it doesn't affect us because I don't really care. Because like I'm never gonna we don't mythic raid really, so you know what I mean. Well, you do, Slide, I guess, but like you're not. No offense, you're not gonna make the Hall of Fame. But
okay, what new fucking challenge rep, bitch? What the fuck? You call me out like that?
Damn,
it's closing like tomorrow.
That's the arc. Get in there today. What are you doing right here?
Thank
Go.
you. Okay, what were you gonna say?
Yes. So my theory is that like after the Hall of Fame closes, I think they might buff that because I feel like there's no reason. Because like if you're saying we're halfway now. Imagine like our prog that we've done so far, doing that like twice, like that much more. Like that's crazy to me. I feel like our guild always continues to run after we get AOTC, I mean, because like, we have people that still need AOTC, so like, and the other group is still doing it. So like, we will probably be raiding for like several more weeks or like a month and a half or whatever. But then like, I don't think that we're going to be raiding that much longer, like past that, like, unless we all lock in and say like, we want this 20 out of 20. Like, it's crazy to me.
I mean, there is catch-up mechanics, and 11.17 is still yet to come, and the raid will still be active during 11.17, and there's more damage and healing buffs. There's also, I will say, I think that's why we killed Gallywix as well, was we had an extra 3%, so we're at 9% total. The other group got Gallywix down to 38%, 35%. Super low. We didn't get them that low on our first night, because this is their first full night on Gallywix, and they got them that low. But also, we were doing this like 2 weeks ago, when we didn't have gear or damage buffs. So maybe you're right, but also they don't want those buffs to be going out for Mythic Raiders. I mean, you're right. The Hall of Fame will close and come and go, I guess. So maybe, but I don't know. It's hard to say. They might keep it like the same pace.
Well, how long have we been rating in this tier so far? I guess is my question. I don't know the answer. I should have looked it up, I guess.
Me no. Okay. Also, what flag did you guys bear? Did you guys even know you could bear a flag for the Florendo Torque fight?
I did, yes. And I am a staunch Florendo fan.
I didn't know that this was a thing until literally last night. And it was after everyone locked in their flags. And I feel like the main reason that a lot of people realized that this was a thing is because we realized that we got enough rep where the vendors were selling toys. You could get like fucking 4 toys, 2 on each side, for like 2 for Florendo and 2 for Torque. But then also in front, there's like a Coltirian you can talk to like pledge allegiance to one or the other. And then apparently there's achievements you get if you are like, but not everyone gets apparently. So I'm very fucking confused about this. So like if you pledge your allegiance to like Torque or Florendo or something, then like if you are part of, I think, the group that has more, and then like if you kill the boss, then some of those people, but not all those people, get an achievement for it.
That's true, because you can be a Florendo fan or a Torquemaniac, but you only get the achievement if you are the biggest fan of your Tussle Tonk.
Which is what confused me, because I saw a lot of people had flags on their backs when I assumed it was a lot of Florendo heads. Me and Ash, the 2 shamans, and I will say, I know I said I was a Florendo head. I accidentally said I was a Torque head. I was a Torquemaniac, so I had the Torque flag, and Ash did. So we, and then it was like, Torque wins! And Rosh was like, why did Torque win? And I was like, because he had the most votes. But then when it was time to get the achievement, only me and Ash got the achievement for the Torque victory. So I think it bugged out, because I'm pretty sure the Florendo people all should have gotten an achievement, because it was legitimately only 2 of us who got the Torque achievement.
Yeah, I'm really confused about this. My only other thought is that, like, is it not based on, like, which one has more votes? Is it based on literally which of them dies second? Or, like, you know what I'm saying?
Did we get the achievement? Oh. Wait, because, yeah, I don't remember if we got the achievement before the fight or after the fight.
It was as the fight ended, I think.
Oh, so maybe it is the one that lives longer. But Torque died first.
Oh, actually, I don't know. It was just a thought, because like what I was gonna reveal now is that because I didn't know that these flags were a thing, I did not vote in this election, so I should not even be speaking right now, if I'm being honest.
Have a seat.
Wow. This guy didn't use his voice, and now we're stuck for 4 more tiers. 4 more tiers.
4 more tiers of Torque.
It's a Torque sweep. He's just sitting in front of the yellow map like the Jeb Bush meme.
Who would win, 1 Torque or 100 Coltirans?
They already did that joke.
Yeah, I know. I'm cribbing
It's not
it.
funny. Ugh. 100 Coltirans, by the way. Considering that, 18 people routinely kill him and there's another guy there. Torque ain't shit. Torque can eat my big fat farts. Florendo fan for life, baby.
Whoa. You know, Florendo did have some pretty inappropriate tweets from 2009. Now be careful about pledging your allegiance to such a
we
man.
used to always talk like that. His hands are so little and his hand is so big. He couldn't see what he was tweeting under his chin.
Listen, he wasn't making a motion with his hands in a way that was offensive to anyone. They just are literally tiny like that. He can't help it.
He wasn't doing a bad hand motion. He just was trying to stretch his arms all the way out because he wanted to see how long they were. He just happened to do it 2 distinct times.
All I know is I've heard people say that woke torque is too much, and I'm like, maybe woke torque is what we need in this realm.
Wow, now we have woke torque as well. Is he gonna wait? So next tier, then in the next election, in 4 more tiers, we'll have woke. Whoa, 4 more tiers, we'll have woke tier and woke torque.
4 tiers equals 1 torque. Explain that, liberals.
It's like they say, I went over to loot his corpse and I just silently whispered, go woke, go broken on the ground as I move on to Rick Reverb.
I just feel relieved that it's done as a guild. Now we can just kind of relax and chill. I'm super excited for the Brodsky raffle. I just bought 51 more tickets. I hope I win. And I want to give Drew that $1 million. There's this sweet old man, Drew, who's been in our guild since like Phoenix Fusion Day. He's been in the guild for forever. He logs on and he just kind of talks about whatever he wants to talk about. And I always entertain it because I just love a good guild, an earnest guild chat about just wow. You know what I mean? And poor Drew accidentally spent $1 million of his gold buying something on the auction house. I don't know how old Drew is, but I think he's kind of old. He's kind of up there. And he was like, it took me years to get that $1 million gold. And I spent it on a sleepy, dumb accident. I shouldn't have been on the auction. And I'm like, what did you even buy? How could you do that? Poor Drew. So I want to give Drew a cut of the money when I win the Brodsky raffle.
I mean, I feel like your chances are probably pretty good because you have the most tickets by far, but I mean, I guess those don't really mean anything. Somebody who has like 1 ticket in there could probably win it, so. Well, speaking of 1 ticket, like he has 1 ticket, so he could win it.
Yeah, after he got his response back from the GMs, they explained to him that he bought something by accident. He then messaged me and he was like, how does the raffle work? And then he bought 1 ticket for the raffle. I don't think anybody else has only bought 1 ticket. If he wins, I will be so fucking happy if he wins this raffle. I want him to win the raffle, honestly.
What if he wins? It's like, I did it. I recouped everything. And then you wake up and you show up and he has 2 flags of disappointment out. And he goes, I made a mistake again.
No. He's like, I did it again.
He's just sitting on like gold Chargers reins, crying. An old dog. I can't change.
I'm crying.
I sleep auctioned again.
Oh, I love this man so much. If he doesn't win, and if I win, even if I don't win, I'm gonna send him gold, I think. Now, do you think it'd be better to send him gold as an anonymous character? Like, be like, here's gold from like Brainbuster or something. Or is it better to send him gold under like the name he knows me as? What's better?
I feel like it would be better to be like, hello, it is me, your guildmate that you know. If he's just getting random gold, I feel like he'd be like, I'm trying to get fished. Someone's trying to hack the mainframe in here.
I just like the mystery and the MMO atmosphere it creates to receive gold from somebody like, who the fuck is this? Oh my god, gold? I mean, what are you gonna do? Send it back? You wouldn't do that.
I mean, no, but like I feel like personally, I would be like, is this one of those Venmo scams?
I personally would do a Ty Burrell, or I forgot, or was it Ty Pennington? Who was the Move the Bus man?
Extreme Makeover Home Edition is Ty Pennington.
I would do a Ty Pennington, and I would say, we heard you were on tough times because you bought Goldmane's Charger. from the auction house. So we've designed your new World of Warcraft player housing all around Goldmane's Charger. The walls are just garish yellow. Instead of a kitchen table, it's a giant horse's head. We know because you love that thing because you bought it for 1,000,000 gold.
We heard that your son loves hot dogs, so we have created a hot dog themed bedroom for him.
I would love to pick up one of those houses. I just want like a goofy ass Ty Pennington house. I guess now we'll do top 2, bottom boot, medium moot. I'll kick us off this week with a drumroll, please. Top 2.
Top 2.
Top 2. That was done in the cadence of Yahoo Messenger commercials.
Wow, I wouldn't have known. I'm a child.
This is for all my Gen Zers out there.
Thanks.
I was on my druid again. So I'm getting Wild Seed ready to fucking go again. I'm getting very jealous seeing all the feral druids having fun. Pablo's killing it. I've seen other feral druids killing it.
Pablo's doing great. Other people assumedly do well.
So I have refound my love for feral druid. I mean, my problem with it before was my bindings were set up in such a way that my hands hurt, my fingies hurt if I press certain buttons. So my bindings are like all set up normally the same, but my mouse wheel clicking on feral druid, that's like my bite. And bite is pretty much like a button you're hitting a fuck ton. You get free proc sometimes. It's your main spender. And my index finger on my right hand does not have the muscle to move slightly to the left constantly. And it would just always hurt. But since playing my shaman and since playing my evoker, I realized I set up my binds in a better way, that my transform button is bound to a different button than my feral druid button. I did a mass reshuffling of my Shadowlands ingrained into my head feral key bindings, and I adjust them in a way that it still feels familiar, which is crazy because on my Death Knight, his keybinds are very, very old, different than anything else I have set up, and I can still memorize what those buttons are because it hasn't fucking changed in 3 expansions, which is actually kind of fucked up. I kind of feel like I don't know. Would you guys rather have your class change to be different and kind of fun, or be the same every single expansion?
I mean, I can see the benefits to either. I mean, having it be exactly the same makes it easy to just pick up all the time. But I feel like, especially if it's the only thing that you play, you don't have alts or whatever, I would want it to change a little bit. You know what I mean? Either change play style a little bit, or have a few new spells introduced here or there. I feel like both of my mains I've had that happen where in Medium Hunter, I've gone through eras where we just currently for AoE, it's we just don't have cooldowns right now. And then we have wild spirits, so we have called wild. We've had this or that. It's just been different over the years. Same with Holy Priest. It's fucking Lightwell was back all of a sudden. Now it's gone again. And I don't know. It just is. I like the variety, basically, if it's something that I'm going to be playing for a decade, you know?
Yeah, I feel that. Aaron, what do you think?
I want it to be boring forever. I want my spec that I main to be so ingrained in me I don't even have to think about it. I can do combustion into fire blast, into phoenix flames, into fire blast, into phoenix flames, into scorch, into phoenix flames, into pyroblast a couple times in there in my sleep. Change nothing or else you've killed me.
I think I kind of prefer that way a little more. But I guess for me it's different because I don't play the same class consistently, so it's just nice when I come back to it and I'm nice, same buttons. But now that we have the experience buff and I have my warband buff, I'm ready to level my fucking alts. Now that we've finished AOTC with the guild, now that I am almost to 3K rating in M+, we're 60 points short. We almost have all 12, some 13s completed. We did a 14 and that kicked our ass. And I'm guys, we don't have to do 14s, please.
Yeah, I mean, we got to the point where Ahoy just got his 3K, so I feel we're on the cusp of it.
Yeah, that's it. What about you, Aaron? TT, BB, MM.
Well, I do have to come in here with a medium moot this week.
Medium moot.
Our victory against Jaster Gallywix left me with 65 gilded funny coins, which was just enough to upgrade my staff. And so I sent it out to Lynn. He was whipping it up, and I said, perfect for nothing. It's such a shame that I decided to go and get this souped up just in time to miss out on needing it for AOTC. That is the highest high that I choose to reach for, and so I just have a nifty staff, I guess, that I get to hold on to until the game gives me something better or they tell me to change it into something else.
Hey, it'll make re-clears easy if you do any of those, and there's still some content coming out. You still have the Radiant whatever thing. I haven't done any of them. I still have not gone to Hollow Fall.
I haven't either. And then also, I feel like just having our gear maxed out makes beginning of the next patch easier, because like that'll probably be like the max eye level for a while still into the next tier.
That's true. That darn Cersei circlet is still on my finger, and that thing's hella old.
On my priest too, what the fuck?
But speaking of circlets, we're circling back around for immunization. What is your TT BBMM?
Well, I have a TT.
Top two.
Well, I'll take the easy one out here and say, first off, it is AOTC. Love that for our guild. And I just also thought it was really funny. I feel like before our poll, when we killed it, just like in the raid chat, there was like a server-wide announcement that like another guild on Proudmoore got Mythic done with. So they got their cutting edge. So like, I almost feel like that like gave us a little bit of a boon for our kill. I just thought that was really funny and cool, that timing. But so like first off, got AOTC done. Second off, like 2 hours before that, we timed our first 13. So I was like, oh damn, we are like kind of killing it. We're to the point now. Like we feel strong right now, and I feel like it was just the vision all came together.
Speaking of a vision coming together, let's talk about a group of people that came together to give us the support we need to run the show. I'm talking about our patrons. Their names include Ahoy Vince, Azarin, Digital Dave asking Growlina to say, for the Horde. Miskit the Orchidee Orc. Mitch, she wants to remind everyone that Rathion isn't daddy, he's a literal child. Crucifix, Crowmoan, the inaugural Dornagooner.
Can't a man have a bit of but piracy?
Alternator, Saracen Hawk, Justin, give me back my PhD, Arcane. Remy.
Do you get to the Cloud District very often?
Kick Puncher, Baba Booey McGee, Sugar Bear.
Time is money, friend.
Dr. Foster, Grumpy Old Shaman, Jerome, Ali, Adorno.
I'll have you know that there's no pussy.
Losing the Patient, Gershie's going to East Hills. Guff, the Horde Pooper Cooper, Calcus.
They took our jibs.
Dig your jam! Dig your jam!
Cilantro, Adam N. Vanderlyle says, fuck fandom.
Oh.
And Will, a.k.a. Tire, Trade Chat's fallen father.
Baba Booey, if you want to join the illustrious guild of DNR and these followers you heard before you, go on to patreon.com/do not relent and you can join the legion of them who are cool.
Thanks.
And we have a massive backlog of episodes where we talk about literally anything you can think of. Things you probably shouldn't be saying on the internet. Would that intrigue you? Check it out. What about you guys? Where can they find you on the internet?
Well, you can find me, Alex or Immunization, on Twitter at New Era Alex, or on Blue Sky at Immunization.
You can find me, Aaron the Human, at thebigacheesy on twitters.com. And watch me play Vigigrams at twitch.tv/AaronDNR.
Do not relent.com, our Linktree. Peep it. Check it out. Join the Discord. Be cool. Or not.
Yeah, be really lame. Stop listening right now if you're lame.
This is a message for all the cool kids out there. Aaron, tell them, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks for staying strong. I know the final 20, 30 seconds ain't so fun, but this one's just for you. How do you get rid of canker sores? Please write into me, and please do it like immediately. This thing hurts so freaking bad.
Yeah, honestly, if you could tell me too, because I mean, I don't have them right now, but I had like 3 or 4 recently. See, this is for the true fans who say to the end. They're like, oh, they're already over by now.
Oh, so actually, while we're on the topic of this, Sweaty Gumbo, Mr. Gumbo, Slidewhistle, and I had a conversation about this while we were intoxicated at a bar. And Mr. Gumbo said that supposedly if you take a shot of vodka, or I guess any alcohol, and swirl it around in there, it could potentially kill it?
Are you giving away After Dark content? Because I'm pretty sure we discussed this on an episode of After Dark. So if you want to hear that, go find it. I don't know what episode it was.
It was the one with the lion on it. I remember that. You went to the big light store in Indianapolis. Speaking of which, I'm turning out the lights on this episode. Goodbye, everyone.
Click! Like Adam Sandler's movie.
Another down! Do not relent!
Do Not Relent is a podcast within the 3HNC network, representing U.S. Proudmoore's premier podcasts.
That was a very good wish.